What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar, back at it again to discuss the latest and craziest developments in the One Piece story. We got a bunch of developments, including developments about the hype Zoro vs King fight, so make sure to stay tuned for that. If you do enjoy seeing these One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming, channel Pirate King within and smash that like button with no mercy. Remember, smashing that like button is Pirate King energy and passing is Orochi energy, so choose wisely. If you haven't, make this the video you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. And while you wait for the next chapter to drop, feel free to check out my huge and growing playlist that includes videos on all the Yonko, Admiral, Supernova, and much more. Link to that is in the description. Now without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. The chapter is called Odin's Beloved Sword, so you can imagine that it will have a Zoro focus, but more on that later. The chapter starts with Marco in Phoenix form carrying Izo over the battlefield. Marco complains, saying it's a pain to fly Izo around when he's injured, but Izo says the giant yokai made him feel uneasy, so it seems like they want to help deal with that too. I don't know how Izo could help at this point, but Marco's Special Flame and or Yamato's Deity Ice powers may be able to do something. We shall see. Place your bets in the comments on what and who will stop Kanjuro's Flame Yokai. I can't see Yamato not playing a role since it's been her self-imposed responsibility to keep the weapons from exploding for several chapters now. I love the panel where Marco happens to fly by Big Mom, where we get a glimpse of her face, which looks like Gluttony from FMA right now. That is definitely fitting for her character. She looks a bit beat up, but if anything, she looks like she's having a blast. Anyways, it's just a little reminder that that other epic fight is still going on. Some beast pirates fetch a cannon to help make their way through the samurai so they can escape burning alive, and then we jump back to Yamato, Apu, Drake, and the number Fuga, who may or may not be Zoro's dad according to some theories. Fuga represents the number 2, which could be a nod to Ushimaru's dual-wielding style, and this number clearly knows and is close to Yamato, just as Ushimaru was in the cave flashback. And there's more possible clues, but I personally hope this is not the case. Fuga definitely doesn't have the cool vibe you'd want from Zoro's dad, and that Ushimaru used to have. We'll see, let me know if you lend any credence to this theory. Back to the story, and Apu, Drake, and Fuga are all chasing Yamato. Yamato even tells Fuga, I know it's been a while, but I'm in a hurry. So you can tell they are on good terms here. Suddenly, Brook and Robin join the party, landing on Fuga's hair. CP0 drops too, chasing them, but they get caught in the flame yokai. Everyone is shocked by this yokai, and finally Yamato realizes that if it can go through walls, it'll get to the armory very soon and set off the explosions while the island is still in midair. Although she didn't predict this happening, in retrospect, Oda sent her down to help stop it. Again, Guardian Deity Ice Wolf stops dangerous flame yokai, sounds very fitting. Obviously, fire tends to melt ice, but ice then becomes water, which is super effective against fire, according to Pokemon at least, and there's no telling how Yamato's special ice will mesh with Kanjuro's special fire. After all, her ice powers did cancel out Kaido's Flame Breath Blast. Lastly, Makami, the inspiration for Yamato's fruit, was a guardian deity thought to protect humans from misfortune, including fire. So yeah, Yamato versus fire yokai confirmed. That being said, there has to be a reason Marco and Izo are coming too. Either way, hopefully we'll get a Song of Ice and Fire thing going on soon enough. Yamato then asks for Fuga's help while Brook and Robin watch the CP0 agents burn. Obviously they are fine. After all that hype, a Kanjuro creation is not gonna take them down. And the shorter, Go playing one even attacks Apu after Apu suggests giving Morgans the scoop of how after losing the middleman Doflamingo, the government started to deal directly with Kaido. The mention of Morgans is always hype because we can only imagine what he'll make of this war after the fact. The CP0 agent closes the distance in a split second and Apu looks badly damaged. But it's not the first time. I gotta hand it to Apu. The dude's endurance is next level. We get a little conversation between Drake and the agent, and it's said that CP0 knows where his true allegiance lies. The agent goes to attack, implying he's a pest, before Apu helps out with an attack of his own. Now Apu and Drake are seemingly together against CP0, which is hilarious to see because of how often you see Apu switching his allies and enemies. I'm not even mad, especially with this team up, and it's strange to see Drake and CP0 having so much beef. I mentioned last time that Drake isn't really a regular Marine in the sense that he wanted to specifically deal with Apu for Luffy, even though it made no sense for a Marine to think like that. The Sword organization is still surrounded in mystery, but this suggests that Kobe and Drake have their own goals separate from the majority of Marines. Now we see the two previously feuding Supernova attack the two agents. Again, crazy how much energy Apu has left after everything he's been through. And let me know what you think about this matchup. CP0 agents have been hyped up, so will they crush these two or will it be a prolonged fight? For me, these guys honestly don't have to be that strong. I don't really care. I wouldn't even care if Apu and Drake beat them, but I know some fans want these dudes to be formidable, so let me know. There is one more agent that's not here who Robin and Brook may have to deal with somehow, but those odds seem a lot better now than when they had to deal with all three. Then we jump to the most hype part of the chapter, Zoro versus King. Even though King seemed like a very cool right-hand man to Kaido, he is not immune from Oda's dinosaur jokes. In a not very cool looking move, King pulls his head back to the point where it looks completely unnatural. He lets go like a slingshot and Zoro's surprised that he couldn't block it since the attack is like a beam. Like the Dinocopter moment, King says that that's how pteranodons hunted their prey in prehistoric times. That's just been Oda this arc, confusing children everywhere about how dinosaurs actually work. And of course, Zoro, seemingly as clueless as ever, asks, is that so? If anyone would believe it, it's probably Zoro, and Luffy for that matter. Zoro though is not in good shape here, panting and having trouble reaching the airborne King. In this case, he's just wasting energy with his attacks as King dodges them. He desperately needs a power-up here, just like Sanji got. Zoro starts asking questions that don't sound any crazier than what King is saying, like that pteranodons flew with fire on their backs too, but King says no. That of course seems to be part of his Lunarian genes, as has been suggested. Zoro notices that King is talking down to him and decides he needs to knock him out of the sky. His Great Dragon Twister is easily blocked by King using his wings. After this, Zoro says that dinosaurs are a lot like dragons. King says he's not wrong, but King himself is on another level. That's a pretty arrogant thing to say when someone compares your powers to like the strongest creature ever, but King is backing it up here. King even takes pity on Zoro and says he'll give him a chance by using his sword instead. He's been craving a good duel as well. And here you really feel the talking down that Zoro mentioned. King truly feels like he's on another level compared to Zoro, and that is the way the fight's been going so far. As Zoro mentions, after all of Zoro's attacks, King hasn't spilled even a drop of blood. Zoro is analyzing King's human form and how he still has wings here and the flames are burning. So these aren't features of his fruit powers, like Zoro thought at first. He thinks maybe he has fishman or giant blood, but then decides that it must be a race he's never heard of, and King launches him back, leaving him in a lot of pain. Zoro thinks to himself, I don't think I can win, which is crazy to hear, but then you move down and he says without knowing what he is. So there is still a path to victory for Zoro, but he needs to find out more about King. That to me is a bit strange. Why would it matter if he learns the exact race unless they have a specific weakness? But Zoro seems pretty sure about it. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. How could the knowledge of King being a Lunarian, for example, actually change the tide as much as Zoro is expecting? I love the just cuts down whatever is in front of him without asking questions Zoro, but I guess we can't blame him for wanting or needing to strategize in this case. Then a shamisen, the musical instrument, is heard. Enma, the sword, starts reacting as Zoro seems to be all but beaten. And there's a giant explosion of flames and probably haki surrounding the sword. It is Odin's sword, the one that even hurt Kaido and gave him scars. It has to be strong enough to beat King, but it's just a matter of Zoro bringing out enough of its power. And here is where Zoro's needed upgrade and power up is coming in. The sword will take him to the next level. It'll bring out more from him and he'll bring out more from it. It's not as cheap as it might seem at first glance because it's already been stated that most people would not be able to wield Enma and would be drained of all their haki. So it's Zoro's hard work and mastery that will be able to unlock the potential of Enma and take him to the next level. An interesting question too is whether he'll be able to call upon haki that Enma absorbed before. This would explain why it gave off an Odin vibe to Kaido, and perhaps Zoro will be able to use that stored haki to increase his own power power as well. The fact that the sword responded to Hiyori playing the shamisen seems to support this possibility. There are a lot of possibilities here, but it's clear right now to me that this sword will be the key for Zoro getting the upgrade he needs to beat King, and it's already begun. The chapter ends off with Orochi seeing Hiyori, who he's still completely crazy about. He even says if he's dreaming, he doesn't want to wake up. So you definitely can't deny his feelings here, although he doesn't know that Komurasaki is actually Hiyori, the daughter of Odin. Hiyori, or at least what looks like Hiyori, says all that she wants is to spend the rest of her life with Orochi. This seems, from her perspective, like she's going to take him out and herself in the process, but we'll see. It'll be interesting to also see how Orochi responds to the fact that the woman he clearly is so crazy about is actually the daughter of his greatest enemy, whom he executed. But that is it for this chapter. Definitely more so a setting things up chapter than crazy actions taking place chapter, but still very enjoyable. Let me know what you thought of it and what you're looking forward to most in the next one. Who was your MVP? I gotta go with Zoro in this one. Yeah, he's been losing against King, but he's been hustling, not giving up, and is about to turn the tide. If you did enjoy this review and want to keep them coming, you know what to do. Channel the Pirate King within and smash that like button with no mercy. Remember, smashing that like button is Pirate King energy and passing is Orochi energy, so choose wisely. If you haven't, make this the video you subscribe and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. And while you wait for the next chapter to drop, feel free to check out my huge and growing playlist that includes videos on all Yonko, Admiral, Supernova, and much more. Link to that One Piece playlist is in the description. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.